So
I just went ahead and started recording. So what we were talking about, where you probably just came in mid word, is Matt's show the shirt you're wearing and then describe it for those listening to this
it's
podcast.
it's time to take this podcast to the moon. I bought in. I am all in on Cameron Grimes in the Undisputed Era, even though there is no Undisputed Era. Uh, I honestly, and we'll just jump into talking about NXT. I got super excited. Tuesday, I keep wanting to say Wednesday, Tuesday night. I really thought that Kyle O'Reilly and Cameron Grimes were going to team up, and I was all for it, man. Um, but we got the typical WWE swerve. Kyle O'Reilly was friendly and then had to throw a punch. Um,
where Kyle O'Reilly is looking like dollar store Orange Cassidy.
ba- basically, we're gonna call him Orange Cassidy if Orange Cassidy had come out in the early '90s and they needed to give him a little bit of a grunge look.
What's that stuff that is like? Oh no, not purple stuff. What's that like? Oh, Sunny D. Kyle O'Reilly is the Sunny D, basically.
Yeah. Orange Cassidy and Sunny Delight.
Man, so it's I would say I enjoyed both NXT and AEW this week. One thing I would say is like it's so weird to see these numbers getting so high on the ratings when I'm thinking like, oh, this is just like a normal episode of both these shows. Like there's nothing like spectacular about any particular episode. But it's just like crazy. It's just like NXT's counter programming worked really because now with both shows getting these good of numbers, like it was like, oh, there really were a lot of people making a decision to watch one show or the other. And
Yeah,
now that they're on different nights, they're watching both.
I'm curious to see exactly how much the AEW numbers explode on the 5th for Blood and Guts.
Yeah.
Well, I mean it's kind of a more bloody, violent affair, so it may not explode quite like if Double or Nothing had been kind of their. We're going to put this on a Wednesday night, but I'm curious to see how much their like mini pay-per-view sort of showed, how much of an explosion they get from that.
And is Tyson going to be around? I don't know. I don't think so. Right? Like,
I don't know because at this point it looks like the inner circle would be outnumbered, 5-6. I guess one of the guys in Pinnacle is Tully, and I don't imagine he's getting in the double cage blood and guts match. Uh, so
taking a stiff shot from Tyson.
I get. I mean, unless Tully is just like, I will only work with Jericho. Everyone else stay 6 feet away from me. Um, so yeah, I
Yeah.
guess I guess that makes sense. Pinnacle would need an unless MJF goes out and brings Shaq in, and then you got Shaq across from Tyson, um, which if they really want to shoot those ratings numbers through the roof, that would be the way to do it.
Yeah. The interesting thing about Shaq is like we still like the last time we saw him is they went to check on him in the ambulance and he disappeared like he was Kane. So I don't understand. I don't understand what they're doing with Shaq, but like I guess they left the door open. I would be cool with him like coming through the bottom of the ring, like Paul White back the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. That'd be amazing.
Now, I want him to just blatantly rip off the Undertaker and wheel him out in a giant. Have Druids wheel him out in a giant casket. that that's what I'm. That's what I'm. I will be completely disappointed in Blood and Guts unless that's what we get now. Um,
Yeah.
so lots of really great matches this week. I'm trying to just looking back. Not a whole lot of highlights on Raw. We've gotten a.
Big surprise.
I'll just quickly hit this thing. Apparently, the Fiend is just gone again. Alexa Bliss is possessed by a tiny doll. Um, whatever. Um, they've completely ruined that whole thing. Randy Orton and Matt Riddle had a banger of a match. Um, I truly, truly hope that at some point we do get Team RK Bro, because that would be awesome. But they did have a really great match. Rhea, I I can't even remember what the match was she interfered with. Charlotte came out and she's gone full heel. She basically cut a Chris Jericho caliber promo and
Mm.
shit all over the women's division, and was basically like, there's a reason that WrestleMania numbers were down. It's because I wasn't on the show, sort of thing. Um, which she's not wrong. As much as people want to hate on her for getting thrown to the top of the card, like you can't look at her body of work and not think that she doesn't deserve it, because she puts on a damn show every time she's in the ring.
She's got
Um,
an impossible place too. Like um she's got the nepotism factor, like, but she is legitimately really talented. So it's like that hard thing is like, well, oh, you're only the where you are because of your father, but yeah, she probably got to skip a couple steps, but she wouldn't still be there if it wasn't for yeah. I mean, if that was the case, like, you've got some of the other horsemen's daughters and stuff that are not for the WWE or not in the WWE anymore. Like, there's Rachel Ellering, there's who's going to show up on Impact on Sunday, and you have, I mean, she's got her own issues, but Tessa Blanchard. So um, yeah, like, nepotism only gets you so far.
I do wonder about it though. Like, why is the audience so hard on Charlotte for the nepotism? Nobody ever gave like seemed to mind that Shane McMahon was suddenly in main event matches with Kurt Angle. Like, it was never an issue. I mean, yeah, he would do like some ridiculously awful shit to himself for the sake of the show, but I mean, Charlotte's moonsaulting to the outside and shit. Like, it's not like she's not trying to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
So it's weird. It's always been a little bit weird to me the way that fans pick and choose where things are a problem.
yeah, yeah.
That was
Well,
Raw. One good match. Um, we're going to get Sheamus is going to do open challenges for the U.S. Championship again. So
mm,
hopefully that means we'll start to see the likes of, Ricochet, who, I'm not going to lie, on cut day, I really sort of got to the point where I expected his name to end up on Twitter. Um, but I guess they just really like talking to him at catering. Because
I I think it too. He's one of those people. Like, I don't think WWE is too afraid of AEW anymore, of them taking certain people, because it's either just going to be inevitable, whatever. But I feel like he's one of those people that are still kind of there, because I think they know if he goes somewhere else, he's gonna explode. Like,
oh,
whether he
oh,
goes back to New
electrify.
Japan, if he goes back to New Japan, if he goes to AEW, I think they know his stock is going to increase, and I think that's one person they actually are afraid of seeding to a different company, but like, he's maybe one of the only ones. So
That's Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, you look at a guy like uh, Rich Swann. Rich Swann gets cut for you know reasonable reasons,
yeah.
and suddenly he's Impact's champion. He is about a third of the caliber talent that Ricochet is. So, I mean, there'd
Yeah.
be no hell. Ricochet could sign with Impact, be the champ within 2 weeks, and like suddenly Impact is getting ratings. Like it and then we'd get Ricochet Omega, which I'm down for. So yeah, I guess it makes sense that he didn't end up on the chopping block.
Yeah. Samoa Joe, like, he's, uh, as much as I don't like, as much as he says he has a lot in the tank, like, and as much as we all hope he has a lot in the tank, like, he is still on the tail end of his career. Like, Ricochet still is like in the middle. So I can see why they let Joe go. It still sucks. But yeah, like, they're banking on he doesn't have that many more years left anyway. So
Yeah.
And then they, if he goes to AEW, then they can repeat their old WCW criticism back in the 90s. It was like, oh, this is where all the old guys go. It's where Sting is, Samoa Joe, Tully. I don't know. But what about Tuesday? What else did you like on Tuesday besides Mr. Grimes?
Mr. Grimes is great as always. Uh,
It
they're
hasn't been
getting.
so great for his portfolio. Dude coin dropped quite a bit this week.
I'm
So
I, I'm going to assume that he cashed that shit out early. Like when it shot up, I think a lot of people were smart enough to see the writing on the wall there. But what else did we get? Saray had her debut against. I space on this lady's name
oh,
every time.
Zoe? Is it
Zoe
Zoe?
Stark.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's great. I like that they're
Yeah.
using her in big spots like this. They put on a great match. Afterwards, Zoe Stark got utterly destroyed by Tony Storm. So
Who looks
that
real
match is
real
coming.
trashy.
Yeah, they've really dug deep on on her character design at this point. Um, what else was on that show? We're getting Kushida is doing open challenges for the cruiserweight belt, which should get us a lot of fresh matchups there, which will
But
be
it looks like
nice.
we're going to get a little detour with that with MSK and Kushida versus help me out here. What's the name of their faction?
Legado del Fantasma,
Yes, that's it. That's it. That should be interesting. It seems like a weird pairing for MSK and Kushida, but I'll buy it. Sure.
which loosely translated, doesn't that mean Ghost League?
I mean, actually, that kind of sounds cool in English to me. I don't know. What are you complaining about?
I'm not. I just it's just a lot funnier when you say it in English than
Yeah.
how badass it sounds. Legado del Fantasma, Ghost League.
Hey man, it sounds better than Los Ingobernables, which is just the ungovernables. Like, which it sounds bad in English and in Spanish.
It's
So
just somebody's got their mouth full either way.
yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty much NXT. I don't think I missed much there. Um,
Um, and then the actual match with Grimes and O'Reilly was actually really great, and it just reminds me of how good he was when I've seen him uh, in both in Chicago and here in LA. Like he's a talent, and he's got so much of his career ahead of him.
yeah,
So,
no, it's I think they're definitely going to get a really honestly the teasing Kyle O'Reilly and Karrion Cross. I think putting him in the ring with Kyle O'Reilly is just gonna help a little bit more get people behind him. You
mhm.
know, let's keep working him against like top guys so we can get the crowd to stop talking about how boring he is because
Yeah,
he's not. Um, he's the monster. This is
yeah.
how monsters are supposed to be built. Um, so quit complaining about it. But yeah, that'll be a good match. Grimes and O'Reilly was a pretty damn good one. I I was disappointed that I didn't get my undisputed era with Cameron Grimes, but I will rock this shirt until the day I die.
Oh man. So let's move on to AEW. I think the highlight for me was that women's championship match. I think it was really hard hitting, and man, I'm blanking on the name of her competitor, her challenger, Sheeta's challenger, who was on NXT for a
Ty
while.
Conti.
Ty Conti, yes, like real hard hitting, like, and just a slightly different style than we've seen in these other matches, and it was refreshing, and she's got like a high ceiling for her too. I think um, she came up unsuccessful this time, but I think there's just a matter of time. Um, I think one thing I noticed about this AEW is they kept on mentioning how like they kept on mentioning a full stadium or full crowds or whatever. Like so they had when they were talking about with Sheeta, they mentioned in her promo oh, that she wants to be champion until we get a full house again. And I think this is the first time I kind of remember AEW saying this. I think they're pretty optimistic, and they're kind of paving the way that maybe by this summer we're going to get, maybe they're going back on the road.
Yeah,
That's what it sounds like to me.
and I mean, the even commentary made a point to say that Sheeta's working to get to at least go into one of these major arena shows as the champ,
Yeah.
because she's been champ for the duration of pandemic, and that's no fun. She deserves the big pop in a full arena.
Yeah. And I think it's just, to me, it makes me feel good because, like, oh man, we're at least in the US. I know it's terrible in India right now. And but I'm looking forward to being back in a stadium. It's going to be weird. It's going to be super weird being back at some show, whether it's a concert or whatever. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm just trying to think. Did anything else pop out to you in that AEW?
The Yeah, actually, there was one thing that has started to pop out more and more, and it's the shitty finishes. Uh, this became and honestly, when I kind of trailed off watching WWE regularly, it was because every damn match on TV, somebody interfered with the damn ending of it. Um, I mean, you're getting the Trent Penta match was fantastic. Like,
Mm,
I know you're constantly trying to book to the next match and the next match and the next match, but all this did, it got us to a Penta Orange Cassidy match with Trent and that Alex guy in the corners. We're gonna get the exact same damn thing next week. And so I'm a little burnout on all the damn interference finishes here lately. Um, and I would like to just see wrestling matches end like a wrestling match should. Um,
yeah.
that said, the Darby Allen Jungle Boy match was fantastic. It got an
Oh
actual
yeah.
finish.
Yeah.
Um, there were, and it really did. It showed what Darby will do both to his body and to other people to scratch and claw and hang on to that belt. I'm pretty sure his fingers were down in the eye sockets on Jungle Boy there to break
Oof.
the hold at one point. uh, it was great. I mean, two really talented guys just putting on a good match that got a clean finish, and that's what I would really like to get more of, um, instead of getting more of the same. Um, we did get a classic moment from John Moxley, interrupting the Elite's, I guess, press conference that they were all just crammed in a trailer with
Yeah.
Luke Gallows covered in baby oil for no discernible reason. Um, and then Mox decided he was going to crash a pickup truck through it. Uh,
So Elsa, my wife, she was like, they were honking on the horn a lot, and like Elsa actually left my apartment. She was like, where was that? She thought the horn was coming from outside. Which is great. But I'm happy to see Kingston back. Like, just having those couple weeks without Kingston, like I missed him too much.
yeah,
He's a treasure. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen. Um is like uh Mox and Kingston, are they going to somehow? I mean, I know it's a cage that's locked in with the blood and guts match, but like, are they going to somehow be some kind of factor in this War Games? Or, well, yeah, it's a War Games match. Let's not pretend it's not. Blood and guts is clunky, but that's the best they could do. Um, but it'd be interesting to see if they did have some kind of thing. I don't know what they're gonna do, but like, it sounds like they're gonna have the entrances like the War Games match where someone else is kept in a cage or whatever, like that. So they're gonna do the staggered entrances, and supposedly it might just dominate the whole show. So
I mean,
um,
it makes sense.
yeah,
uh, I don't necessarily know that you could fill out 2 full hours with that, but who knows?
yeah,
Mostly because I don't know that Jericho can just run for 2 hours at this point. I'm worried for his safety if they try to do 2 hours of cardio. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I don't imagine that Pinnacle's not going to pick up a win here
Yeah.
through just dastardly means, and probably just a grotesque expansion of the Pinnacle stable. Um,
Yeah.
we're going to get to the point where it's just straight up NWO, and there's 38 members, and nothing gets clean finishes, and all white smokes in the ring. That's where we're headed.
Yeah. I think that's another reason why people were like, I mean, it's an excellent heel thing, but like we rarely had for any of these titles, we normally had clean finishes. And like you were talking about with Darby and Jungle Boy, the finishes have been clean, but for the main title with Omega, like that was like kind of the first dirty finish title. Um, that we've title opportunity that we had. I mean, maybe a little some stuff with Jericho possibly, but I mean, he normally just hit that weird back elbow thing that's supposed to be devastating, uh, and that was it. But I could see what I see what you mean, and if all these finishes start becoming dirty finishes, then or as they used to say, dusty finishes, in the in honor of late Dusty Rhodes, then yeah, like that could be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't hit the point where I'm like tuning out yet. It was just the match was so damn good that I felt cheated. Which sometimes that's the point. And you're
Yeah.
supposed to piss the audience off a little bit so they want more. Um, I uh, Other matches that of note, the Christian Cage and Powerhouse Hobbs match was surprisingly good. It was nice to see Powerhouse get to work with somebody that could go with a bigger guy and like
Mhm.
keep the pace moving and function. That was a good match. Um, that got a clean finish. I was really shocked that one did because Team Taz likes to do shady shit. Um, and then the what was the other one? Oh, that's why I can't remember. It's because I fast forward anytime that the factory is on television. You were, uh, I don't care what they try to tell me. That a go-go guy is not interesting. Um, QT
I
Marshall is not interesting. Like I'm done. Like if you put them on to, and next week when they face Gold Dust. I'm just call it what it is. It's Gold Dust. Um, and his little team, like I'm still fast forwarding. I don't give a shit because I don't understand why they're getting so much TV time on a roster that is so fucking loaded.
I Ogogo wrestling is not interesting to me. I think is to me I enjoy his promos so far, but yeah, they've got a long way to go to. I just don't see them like going to a pay per view. I mean, this seems fine for Dark. Seems
Yeah,
totally fine for
yeah,
Dark.
and like I mean in promo work they pulled him right out of a Guy Ritchie movie, and that works.
Yeah,
Like it's interesting, but you put the guy in the ring and like he's not doing a whole lot of wrestling, and then you're going to finish the match with a gut punch. Like,
yeah,
come on, boss, at least hit him in the face.
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
accepted the big punch a lot of times. Like Superman punches don't tend to finish people off in actual fights, but suspension of disbelief, I let it go. Big Show throwing his cinder block of a hand at somebody's head, I let it go.
yeah,
If you tell me this guy is a Golden Gloves boxer and then he throws a punch to the face and he gets the pinfall, I will accept it. Like as hard as it would be to suspend disbelief that much, I would even take that as a finisher for Baron Corbin because of his boxing background. But punching a
yeah,
guy in the stomach, yeah, it knocks the wind out of him, but I mean, you're not going to get a pin on that. Just doesn't
yeah.
work for me.
Um, Yeah, we'll see how that turns out. But I feel like that should have been cooking on dark for a lot longer before they tried to graduate this to the main show. Um, well, so we've got Impact Rebellion coming up this Sunday. And I was actually surprised there was an ad for it. If you watched Dynamite Live, there was an ad for it, but seemed to be like there was no discussion on commentary unless I missed it. But I don't recall them discussing it on commentary. And it's a huge match. I know they've talked about it before, but it's being headlined by Rich Swann versus Kenny Omega, title for title. Like, whoever wins this is going to be huge. I'm going to
It,
assume Kenny
it's
Omega is
not
going to win this.
it's not getting a clean finish. There's no way. Um,
Maybe that's true. Moose did come out to talk about this match, so that could be the case. Moose could just screw the whole thing. Um, I don't know what they're doing, but yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe especially because they didn't talk about it. Maybe they're just like, this is an Impact thing that's happening over here. You can watch it if you want, but it's not gonna end well. Um, so is that your prediction then?
yeah, I mean this thing's going to just completely collapse. They're going to be mid match. John Moxley's going to drive a pickup truck through the Impact ring or something. Like it's this thing
Oh
is
shit!
not going to get an ending.
Yeah.
Because there's no way. I I mean I know this has been good for Impact, but there's no way that both those belts get to go back to AEW, and there's no world that exists where Rich Swann gets a clean win over Kenny Omega ever.
Yeah,
So I, unless Kenny Omega's retiring on Sunday, I don't see, like
and that's
that.
who he wants to give the rub to.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's it I really yeah, this thing I love that they're doing this for Impact. But yeah, that match is not going to get a clean finish.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I want to watch the pay-per-view for the Matt Cardona Brian Myers match, but I'm still a Zack Ryder mark, so
I want to know how they got there because I mean, obviously, we know them as like basically best friends. So I hope they have a good video package there to kind of explain it, or at least something good on YouTube because I'm not in the Impact universe here, so I don't know. Um, there should be some other good match: Chris Sabin, Eddie Edwards, James Storm, and Willie Mack versus Violent by Design, which is headlined by Eric Young with also Rhino in the group. That could be pretty good.
yeah.
That's probably going to be nuts, but I like Eric Young. I like Rhino. I like Chris Sabin, especially when the weird old man at the Ring of Honor show showed me the poem he wrote to him that wanted me to pass to Chris Sabin if he came near. That's a story for another time. Um, we have also another good match could be Finn Juice versus the Good Brothers. So that's Finn Juice, Dave Finlay, and Juice Robinson um, versus Gallows and Anderson. So like for the Impact World Tag Team titles, they're going back and forth to New Japan holding those titles. They basically took it away from Impact. So that would be crazy if Kenny Omega got a clean finish on Rich Swann and Finn Juice retained. Then you've got two out of the three main championships, um, the men's title and the tag team titles, and you just have the women's titles basically just sitting here in the States while like everything else is not actually in the company, um, unless unless we get some weird thing where at the end of like uh, end of the show, um, what's his face? Tony Khan comes out and says like, "I bought this." Like this is like a WCW like Shane McMahon moment. Like it's like I own this now. Like, and we have some weird like war or something like that. But I mean, if that happens, for the love of God, Tony Khan, please get some kind of form of crowd into that show. That's the thing I'm least looking forward to it. This is like we're
Yeah.
going back in time to like the early days of the pandemic watching Impact. And that's why I've only watched one of these shows since this whole like open door thing has happened. It's just hard to watch.
It is. I still don't really understand why Impact doesn't do the same thing AEW does. I mean, like just have people sitting at have the talent sitting at ringside. They're in
Right.
the building. I don't care if they're sitting out there getting just completely trashed. Like have them sitting there. That would be like an actual crowd. So
Yeah. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. Not at this point. Um, and I mean, and they're in Tennessee. It's not like Tennessee has like super strict,
oh no.
like COVID guidelines or anything like that.
No, I mean
Like not at all.
I'm in South Carolina and we're a week out. I'm sitting front row at an indie show in like a week and a half. So like I know Tennessee is not any more restrictive than the state of South Carolina, even though this is the land of Lindsey Graham. Um, we I really I don't get it unless their protocols are so super lax that they're just like do not ever be that close together and just do whatever the hell you want. um which it's Impact, so that's a possibility. um but yeah, I mean, I at this point I'm really surprised it hasn't come out that Tony Khan just bought Impact, and that's going to be his second night of
Yeah.
TV, because that'd be the easiest damn way to do it. Um, but yeah, well, honestly, they'd probably buy Ring of Honor first because they could get that super cheap. Um, but then the pipeline of new talent dries up a little bit if you if you buy Ring of Honor. Um, so I honestly,
Yeah.
is that pay-per-view looks pretty good. In the next week, the match I'm definitely most looking forward to is going to be that Brian Cage Hangman Page match next week on Dynamite. Um,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's like the finally the showcase for Brian Cage, even if he loses. I I think I would honestly I'd be okay if he got a win. Um, but they've really done some weird booking with him for a guy that's his size, his look, and his talent level. Um, I'd I'd almost like to see him across from Omega since we've already gotten recently Hangman Page and Omega. Let Brian Cage get the win over Hangman and jump up the rankings and give us that match. Give us something different.
Yeah. I hear that he wasn't necessarily, I mean, the rumors are that he wasn't fully healed before he signed. And maybe that kind of explains a little bit why he's been booked so weird. But yeah, I'll agree with you there. It's perplexing. Like he's got a good ceiling, but I mean, he did definitely tear his bicep, I think,
Yeah, I think it was
before
the
joining.
either the bicep or like the upper pec area, something right in there. Because I know he was in a wicked cast for a while. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I those Swolverine shirts would sell like hotcakes if he got if he started getting a push, because they're funny. But speaking of injuries, and whatnot, best wishes to EC3. Let's hope he gets better soon.
Oh yeah.
Guy's a talented powerhouse, and I hate seeing that he's been hospitalized with this, um, especially because it keeps him off the Impact pay-per-view card. But yeah, best wishes to EC3. Um, we'll see how that goes.
And if you're feeling bad, don't ignore it. Don't just fight through pain or whatever. If you've got some weird abnormal pain, go get that checked out, listening audience.
Yeah, and
Don't
apparently
let what EC3 happen to you.
it's if you feel like a stabbing pain in your shoulder or in your elbow, those are your two places where that infection seems to hide, and then you get hospitalized. It's like the bodybuilder's COVID.
Yeah, and it is the crazy thing is it stays in your body like forever at that point. Like that's why it can pop back up. It popped back up for Mox. What last year in AEW he couldn't defend his title or something at one of the pay per views and stuff like that. So yeah, like it's nuts. But hopefully it doesn't happen to you guys. And I guess we're gonna watch Impact, and we'll be back next week. See ya.